Let's see what Zoom.
Welcome back to Crypto Meatheads, where I, Jeff Black, am joined by my good friend Jason Theobald and Andy Peters. We are in our 40s. It's an obvious midlife crisis problem for us to do this cryptocurrency stuff, but here we are again, showing up after a few weeks. So if you're interested in knowing more about cryptocurrency, learning about even investing, we're your guys as we get out there and try to learn ourselves. Guys, we've had a few weeks off. It's been a little bit of a break. We're going to get into, for our topic today, all things crypto in the market for the last few weeks. We'll check up on our favorite coins. We'll get Andy's take on what's going on with the Elon Trump fight in the markets and kind of like what it's looking about if this big, beautiful bill goes through, Bitcoin's potential dominance that might is being talked about to potentially spark off. But first, well, always let's get to our sponsors. So the sponsorship for New Ethics, you guys are killing it for me this year. Thank you so much. Like I am growing, so I really appreciate that. Relentless 10 is the discount code. If you guys are taking a multivitamin, I talked to someone at the grocery store the other day because I'm trying to get better at talking to people again more as I get back out there. I try to believe in people and go through it, but I told this woman she had a Centrum Silver, and I talked to her about the difference about a better multivitamin. So give this one a chance. You know, we spend our time meeting every week. You all supporting each of us who share our sponsorship does help this podcast. So, guys, check out New Multi. It's a pharmaceutical grade new multivitamin. Relentless 10 supports me and Jay. What about AVH? You guys got a special going on this month.
We do. Lab special. Anyone can use it, whether you're a coach or whether you're, obviously just anyone in the internet era and you want to, get a lab, let's do it. And then you don't have to join the clinic, but if you've got issues and you take a look at the labs and want to come on, you can do that. So the whole point is you can use it for the lab. It's a very robust lab, and you would pay if you went to LabCorp and tried to get it, you'd pay about $1,000. The male, I believe, is a buck 50, and the female is down to 175. They're usually 230 for the female and 200 for the male. So nice little discount to you, but Advanced Vitality, we are growing. We're actually hiring another care coordinator, another PCC. We prefer them to be in Cincinnati, but we will look at good resumes from all over the country as we are telemed and we exist online. So if you're interested, let us know. This is a full-time position. Other than that, we can handle all your HRT, all your anti-aging, peptide needs, functional issues. If you're struggling and you can't get anywhere with your doctor, come see us. We have specialists who are trained in functional nutrition as well and medicine and can work through those things with you. AdvancedVitalityHRT.com.
I see you guys for a GI math test this week. I gotta drop that email. Can't wait to see what's in my poop, Jay. Very excited.
Yes,
Andy,
sir.
what's up with you? I know you were just telling us before we went live that you're crushing it. You're going up. The Discord's got a wait group, which wait list. Which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, join that damn thing. Always gems, so get on the wait list. What's been up with you and your sponsorships?
Yeah, man. So you guys can find me at Real Andy Peters on Instagram. Website is realandypeters.com. We've got a Discord, so it's a trading community, a little bit more than just trading though. Life, anything you can think of, cryptocurrency, the foreign exchange market, stocks, you name it. There's been a lot happening on my end, probably in the last month and a half, 2 months. I know we've had kind of a little vacation from the podcast. Everyone was busy doing their thing. I had some family stuff going on and whatnot, so I missed a few. But we're back now, and I created an indicator that maps my trading. So everything that I've always traded, how I trade crypto, how I trade stocks, how I trade anything, the foreign exchange market, whether it's options, futures, you name it. I basically built that indicator now that automatically maps everything out. And prior to us jumping on this podcast, I was actually just on another Zoom talking about stocks to my stock team. And we had all been looking at Lululemon and where it dropped to on market open, which was a 20% drop. It fell exactly to our indicator line of where to buy Lululemon. So buys were activated this morning on that at a 20% drop to the dollar amount by the indicator. So I think that kind of signifies what we've done on our end is pretty cool.
That is badass, man. Lululemon, I gotta admit, their shorts, guys. If you're a male, I know people are gonna out there hit me for it, but I gotta admit, the male shorts are very superior in quality. They feel great.
Yeah, it's what I wear. I mean, I've got their pants on now and shorts and everything, but their earnings came in very, very lackluster and had a 20% drop. And I know this is crypto meatheads, but real quick, we're seeing a big hit across stocks that offer products like that because of other product lines that are coming out ever since the tariffs got hit. So when tariffs went nuts, you guys probably saw it yourself on TikTok. Everyone was exposing where all these clothing brands are getting their products from and the actual cost of it. And since TikTok is a Chinese-based app, obviously there's a lot more Chinese people in there than there are Americans. So they're started flooding the market and they beat the algorithm out. So all these companies that were selling products, especially Lululemon, like, hey, here's $100 pair of, pants. Here's a $60 sports bra. Here's a $60 pair of shorts, which I wear them. I love them. I have them on now. But people started seeing the actual cost of these goods and went, whoa, you mean we're paying $100 for a pair of leggings that only cost $10 to $12 to make? I mean, most people know that's common sense. That's how products work, but the vast majority didn't realize that. So other manufacturers and other in the gym industry, which you've seen this too, guys, they started dropping their prices on leggings. They started dropping their pricing on sports bras and all this clothing. So we saw a market shift. And that market shift really, really hurt Lulu to the point that they opened up today at a 20% drop in their market share, which is huge for a clothing brand at the margins that they operate on, especially one like Lulu, where they're advertising, what they pay, the socials, the marketing teams. I mean, they're really busted out of the seams when it comes to that stuff.
Damn. All right. Well, I'll have to check them out. I always like to look at stuff like that. Well, we've had a lot going on in the crypto space. I know I have cried a lot lately while watching some things. Suku will forever break my heart. I just trust
Same.
Andy. So every day I look at Suku, I just close my eyes saying, Andy, we trust, and Andy, we trust. And then I go down the line from there. But we've seen a lot play out, especially in the media. You talked about the tariffs. Then you have, I guess, maybe the failed efforts of Doge to a degree, which really didn't get to do much. And then you have, well, the big beautiful bill, which might actually be not so good for everybody. And then which led to the public breakup of Elon and Trump. And you've just seen a lot of volatility going on. And with all that said, Andy, what direction do you, I'm going to turn over to you to take it where you'd like to, but from my perspective, because I'm the most layman of both of you in terms of investing and all this stuff, I'm the most rookie. I look at it as just like rich dudes doing games with each other, and until they grow up and get past it, I just have to sit on the sidelines and just keep chucking money in, knowing that sooner or later the feud's going to quell and it will go.
It's actually it's disheartening for me to see as an American, because I want to put that out there. I'm American. I bleed red, white, and blue. I'm a firm believer in our country, the things that we do. But to see two powerful men arguing back and forth like babies in the public eye, it just shows where we're at. I don't feel if we rewind back time and we go, I mean, probably even back in Obama's era, I mean, even Bush and even, I mean, heck, you can probably go back as JFK and any of those guys. I feel like that was men. The ones that actually wanted, if they were going to have a conversation, let me invite you into my house and let's discuss this like men. Let's squash whatever this is. Or let's not just air out our dirty laundry in front of the public eye, and let's not make it look bad. Because what they don't understand is it's not just Elon and the president arguing. This is America, and other countries are looking at us going, "That's a shit show." Look at what they're doing. You've got one of the richest men in the world, and you have the president of the United States bickering like kids. And now they're pointing fingers at each other. And I told Hannah today, which is my wife for the viewers that don't know, I said, this right here is why people are how they are in general society now, is because they see leaders like this. They see people of power that take to the internet to argue like babies with each other. And when you've got 20, 30, 40 year olds that see this, they're like, well, if they can argue, I guess we will too. And we've all seen it on our news feeds. We've all seen it on our Facebook feeds of adults arguing with each other, going back and forth over matters that could probably be handled with a phone call or meeting up. And I think now it's more or less just a power trip of I want to show how bad of a person you are, and I want to show how powerful I am. And it's hurting the market. Now, granted, I'm all about volatility. I'm all about it. I think it's great. I can take advantage of either direction. For crypto, I mean, I'm not one side of the other of I really want a massive bull run right now. For me, I like, and I know I'm probably the odd man in the room. Jason probably laughs at me when I say this. I'm the bear guy. I love bear markets because it allows me to come in and scoop up more. And I can not just dollar cost average in, but I can put more money in as it stays in that timeline. So, like this morning, I'm looking at Sui, for example, and Sui's had a decent run, but it's still staying where it was back in November of last year. So for me, I like that because I can still every week throw in that $200 or throw in that $500 a month, and it's still staying in that area to where when it does pop, I'm good. We look at H bar, and H bar is another one. It's set in that 16 cent range, which is actually where it popped off in November of last year. So what you're going to hear throughout the rest of this podcast is going to be probably the theme is we're where most cryptocurrencies were in November of last year before the pop we had in December. Now, there's these crazy theories that Elon and Trump had this planned all along to become friends, even though they both didn't see eye to eye. And let's be honest, of all three of us, would we ever have picked them to be best friends? I wouldn't have at
No.
all.
I got one thing to interrupt though to say, do you remember the guys who lit himself on fire in front of the Trump trial?
Yeah.
He threw a document up in the air that got up on Reddit, and he had said that the Dems and the Republicans were on it, and it's like wrestling kayfabe. So
Oh
what you
yeah.
say about Trump and Elon, I would probably not have believed it. But now after that dude lit himself on fire and just watching how crazy shit is, I'm like, I wonder if they did plan all this out. Like,
So,
be a
so
graphic, story tell it.
exactly. So hear me
Oh,
out. We got
okay.
us three here, okay? So if us three we're talking and I say, you know what, Jeff, you're too outspoken. I don't agree with the things that you do, but man, you are a smart dude and you have an amazing following. Jason, you're a good dude, but you're a bodybuilder. I don't jive with you, but hey, you're cool. We'll hang out. And I'm just kind of the middle guy. But let's all come up with this plan to do something crazy together, get all eyes on us. And then at the end of the day, we can have a little argument. It's not going to kill our relationship. We don't have anything to begin with. And then boom, we do it that way. Now, granted, I love all you guys like brothers. That's not the case. But as an
Yeah,
example,
no, I get it.
if we did that, people would believe it. They'd be like, man, they've all come from all different backgrounds. They did a podcast together, and now all of a sudden they're arguing about this. And now all your viewers are watching me. My viewers are watching you. Who's saying this? Who's saying that? So I think these two being completely different together, they bring in. He's supporting Trump to get Trump into office. Let's be honest, Trump didn't win by a landslide. It was very, very close. So he had to have Musk help. He gets in office. Now him and Musk are teaming up together for this Doge thing, which what did that do? That sparked controversy everywhere. It caused arguments. It caused people to hate each other. They uncovered some truths. And then the tariffs get hit. And all this stuff's going nuts. And now all of a sudden, Elon's, partial time in the White House is done, working for the government. Now he's pushed out. Now they start this argument. All right. So the theory is they're starting this argument now to cause everything to stay where it's at, stay stagnant, yada, yada, yada. And then whoever comes out on top, whether it's Trump, whether it's Elon, they're going to push something within the market that brings us back to December highs. That's one side of the theory. Now, if we look at the chart and we look at H bar, we look at Ondo, we look at Sol, we look at Trump coin, which doesn't really give us a good identifier because it wasn't around in November. We look at XRP, we look at AI odds, we look at Algo, we look at any of these coins, they're setting in that same November area before the big hit in December. So what this tells me is this leg that we're currently on in cryptocurrency either has to have something to pop it off to bring us back to December highs, or it's going to fall. Once you get into that area where you were on the cusp of a breakout, you can't just continue hanging out in that area for another 2, 3, 4 months because people will take, obviously, their money, say, look, my money's not moving. I'm going to pull it out of the market. I'm going to take profits. Because in November, let's be honest, the market was still pushed up significantly, not as much as December, but it was still a nice push. So they take those profits, they wait, that causes the price to come down. Institutional money comes in, sweeps those orders up, pushes it back to November area. People are like, oh crap, they get FOMO, I got to get in. They jump back in, and then boom, we're in December. So, I
Hey,
mean, there's
I got a question for you, Andy. As someone who has been in and out of crypto, and this is the longest time that I've stayed, watching things, I'm continuing to dollar cost average in daily. It used to seem to me, at least, and you tell me, and this is where I kind of want to get your thoughts and let our listeners know, because they may have the same question. The market used to move to so much more less news. Now some big shit will come out like, HBAR will sign some massive deal and no one gives a shit. Or Ondo will be like pushing the first treasury ever and it's like historic and Ondo does nothing. If that would have happened 3 years ago, Ondo would have probably tripled or quadrupled, just like HBAR quadrupled when I was in November. And, a couple things came out about Elon using them on, SpaceX and all these things started hitting when I bought. And I'm like, this is great. Like, so why? Why is it not moving anymore? Why do these things that seem pretty significant don't move it? And so then my brain starts to say, is there even enough stuff that's going to move altcoins anymore? Are we just switching to a Bitcoin, Ethereum market? I don't know. I'm just curious. Like, what's your thoughts on all that?
so I'm going back and looking at my notes because the question you just asked, I'm not, yep, right here. So that same question was asked on a Zoom that I was on a while back. And the way that I formulated it was if we rewind back to 2020, 2021,
Mhm.
our market cap fluctuated between 600 and 700 billion dollars.
Okay.
Today, we're pushing upwards of $3+ trillion in there. So there's so much more money in the crypto market. It
Just to make
takes
coins?
more, it takes more to move it.
Oh,
So, and when we're looking back in 2020, 2021, having 780, $790 billion was a lot. But if we got, 500 million to 600 million pumped into the market in one day, we saw a massive move. Well, now with I think it's like, I don't know the current number.
so where
Uh,
is it all then? Because let's just talk about Suku. The
let's
highest that
see.
I ever got was 158, $1.58. I mean,
Yeah, right
that's
now it's 3.2 trillion dollars is in the market
so
right
where is
now.
it? Where is it? It's I mean, because Suku is at his height was $1.58. That's like probably a
Two,
30x
two, tri-
off.
2 trillion of it's in Bitcoin.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So is there gonna be an alt season anymore like we used to know? I think you told me in the Discord you believe there will be, but I'm like, where's the money gonna come from? We've got more in than ever.
It'll have to come from people. It'll have to come from people that are jumping into those markets, putting their money into those markets and not just Bitcoin. Right now, the big focus is Bitcoin because, you've got everywhere you turn on social media, everyone's talking about Bitcoin's going to be $1 million in the next 10 years. One Bitcoin's going to be $500,000 in the next 3 years. So when people hear that, even your average investor, they're starting to say, man, if Bitcoin's $100,000 today and it's going to be $500,000 in the next 2 years, that's a 5x multiplier.
Hmm. And a more secure asset. I get that. And that's
Yeah.
why.
So, man, I'll put in 10K to
Yep.
make 50 in 5 years.
Right.
That's fair. So now you've got so much focus on Bitcoin, they're not even thinking about, let me go throw 10 grand in H bar. Us realizing 10 grand in H bar could ultimately make you
Shit. 400,000.
5x
Yeah.
in one year. But that movement's not here because there's so much focus on Bitcoin. Aside from that, think about your average American families right now. You can look at most large companies, they're laying people off. We've got massive companies here in town that are laying people off. We've got one of the largest FedEx hubs in our office in our city that's looking to close down, lay people off, relocate. You've got companies like when you have companies like Lulu, that gets hit with a 20%, drop. What's that going to look like for their employees? What's that going to look like for their stores? There's mom and pop shops that have closed up everywhere across America. They can't keep up with rent. They can't keep up with, the driving cost of their products. You've got the housing market. People can't even afford to go out and buy a house to replace a house that they maybe sell to move into. So everyone's kind of buckled in this, man, I can put money into the market, but where am I going to put it? Well, Bitcoin's what everyone's talking about. Let's throw it in Bitcoin. Let Bitcoin drop to 70, $80,000, and then you would see that money probably flow in other areas. But right now, I think the American people who typically are investing into the retail market to get the prices up are sitting on their hands. I don't think they're putting money into the market as much as we think they are. I feel the money coming into the market is from your one percenters, from companies, from your larger corporations that are now investing in Bitcoin across the board. And it's suppressing the total market cap of where we get that big flow push up.
Got it.
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not scared because obviously I hold a lot of alts
Yeah.
as well. And I tell people all the time, I'm not worried about it. The only time I would be worried about it is if we broke like right now, and I like using X as much as I hate saying this, I like using XRP as my gauge because
Okay.
XRP is kind of the people's coin. And I mean, it's sitting pretty steady above the $1.63 zone. The $1.63 zone is kind of what it has to stay above to keep its role in the market with where it stands. Because if it falls below that, it's going to fall below its 2021 numbers. And if it falls below 2021 numbers, we're back at that 41 cent range, which XRP goes to 41 cents. You've got everyone in America that's going to be crying. And you got everyone that's going to say, I just lost everything I put in. Because let's be honest, XRP is it's the American coin, if you will. That's what everyone believes in. They probably got the largest push of anyone when it comes. You can go to the grocery store and probably ask anyone there, hey, have you heard of Ripple or XRP? They're going to say yes. If you walk in and say, have you heard of H bar? They're probably going to say no. You heard of Ondo? No. So I use XRP as my gauge. It's holding steady. I'm okay with that. But if it started dropping below 163, $1.50, I'd say, this is kind of one of those times where maybe should I take now everything and at least push into Bitcoin, push into USDT, and see if I can get in lower? What do I do here? I'd probably have to re-strategize on some of my projects because below that point, you're going to see every other project just start dropping. So that's kind of our gauge. We're holding steady. We tapped it. We did tap it back in April. In April, we tapped the $1.63 buy zone to a T and then shot back up. And now we're holding steady at that 217. So still feeling pretty good about it.
Okay. All right.
What's your take with the meme coins coming into play? Because I've noticed Pepe's been firing up, and it's almost like it's like it's going in circles. They'll just find one, run it for a little bit, kill it, and then move to the next. I think meme coins have diluted that a lot too.
They have. Meme coins have made up a lot of, used to, and you guys have heard me say this before, used to the altcoins we had now were essentially meme coins. If you looked at your H bars, your audios, your algos, your sands, people treated those as they would meme coins. Throw in $100, wait for it to pump, take some money out. Throw in a grand, pump, take money out. But then when meme coins, started coming, so you've got your Toshis, your Flokies, SHIB, all these coins that are coming out, especially the one you just mentioned, Pepe. People would buy into them, and they're just throwing money here, throwing money there. Well, then there was a whole other side of that meme coin market that come out like Pump.Fun. So when Pump.Fun comes out, now they're throwing in $100 and they're making a grand, 5 grand. They're throwing in a grand, they're making 10, 15 grand. So the people that were technically pushing the alt market with money are now pushing a market over here trying to make a quick buck. We saw it die off a lot. You guys remember back in November and December, the meme market was huge. I mean, Pump.Fun was
Yeah.
just going nuts. They were collecting billions of dollars. I think we're slowly seeing that taper off because people come to the realization that this is fun for gambling, but you can't make a living doing this. And you had all the TikTok influencers and Instagram guys like, "Hey, follow me for advice, and you'll make $1 million." It's like, bro, they realized it was rug projects across the board,
Word.
and hopefully now people understand that and say, "Hey, this is like going to the casino. If you're at home, you're drinking with your buddies, and you all have a wallet, throw $100 in, have some fun with it. But you're not going to make a living doing this. Taking that money and investing it into projects like HBAR, Ondo, Audio, B3, Band, some of those projects, you got a greater reward versus risk than you do playing the meme market. So I think they've taken a lot of the market share on how that money's invested.
That's fair. What else do you think that someone needs to kind of understand about the crypto market at this point that, because here's what I have seen, and I own a brick and mortar. I kind of had some eyes on it. I don't think anyone's going out of their way to spend any money, but I don't think anyone's necessarily pulling back. So I think where anyone's at, they're just holding.
Yep.
So that's why I've kind of just sat with the crypto and been like, until things start moving, it's just going to kind of be the merry-go-round or whatever is. I do think, from my perspective, you got potential war in Russia, Ukraine now. That looks like that's fever pitch. You got all sorts of shit going on. So I I look at the crypto like I always have with you guys. This is like the 1980s Wall Street. It's going to be a wild ride, but when it moves, it's going to really move. And I do wholeheartedly believe that. I do believe in the Web3. But Andy, like, what are some things that maybe you want to employ to people, or maybe say, like, don't go get a second mortgage on your house to buy during this bear season and put yourself even worse? Like, you've seen it, you've heard it. Hell, I've seen it and heard it, so.
I would say, to people that are new into crypto, because I mean, obviously, if people were playing the game in November and December, obviously they're down right now, and they hear us talk about dollar cost averaging in, and you can only dollar cost average in so much before you finally get to where you want to be. So, for example, and I'm just using Hash AI. Let's say you were buying Hash AI back in November and December. Now it's been setting in the same area for the last 3 or 4 months. So if you've been throwing in, 100 here, 200 here, 100 here, you've probably dollar cost averaged in now about the lowest you can. Same with Suku. When we were talking about Suku, and I've got that here on my notes. Did I find my notes here? On Suku, we were dollar cost averaging in on it, when it was 11 cents, 7 cents, 6 cents. So now trending right there at 3 cents. If you continue just to kind of double up here and there, you can get your dollar cost averaging in at the price now. That's what I'm trying to do. So on projects that I got in, where I got in higher, where the price sets today is where I want my dollar cost averaging to sit, because today I feel is a good price across the board with everything. Even projects that are a little crazy like Ocean, it's sitting at 33 cents. So 33 cents is where it's set almost all of 23. It dropped below that in 2022 to like 17, 18 cents. But before that, it stayed in that 33-cent range. So knowing that I can dollar cost average in almost all of my projects across the board of the price we're at today, with just putting a little bit more with it, I think should make every newbie, if you will, smile. Because in December, that's all we heard. I wish we had 2024 pricing at the beginning of the year. Well, we're here. Some, as far as 2023, we're here. So that's the only way we can take advantage of it, is continue to dollar cost that average in. Now, you're not mortgaging your house. You're not using your last $100, nothing like that. This is strictly, hey, I'm investing for something in the future, because ultimately that's what it is. Let's be honest. If all of our portfolios pop tomorrow, say 3x, we're probably not all going to cash out 100% and say, okay, I'm done with crypto.
No.
We're going to say, okay, that looks pretty good. Let's see if we can hold steady. We hold steady, maybe get another 1 or 2x. We'll pull off some of that investment, set it aside, maybe have it in USDT, but we're still looking long term. And I had to talk about the Discord the other day, because there are some people that were in crypto that were freaking out. Like, what should I do? Should I go and pull it all out? I don't want to lose more money, yada yada. And I was like, well, when you start investing this, what was your game plan? Some didn't have a game plan. So if they didn't have a game plan, they probably shouldn't have invested to begin with. You've got to have some sort of game plan. But the ones that did have a game plan said, well, man, my plan was to really do this and set myself up for 5 to 6 years down the road. Okay. If your goal is to set yourself up for 5 or 6 years down the road, why are you stressing about it today? Well, because it's not moving, but that's a cycle. That's how it works. Yeah. But everyone talked like this was going to be the best cycle ever. I was like, well, unless you went back and listened to the Crypto Meatheads podcast, where we said, once Trump gets into office, we are going to have a rocky road. We're probably going to come down, because we don't know what he's going to say. The guy's a loose cannon. He can say anything, and before you know it, market doesn't move. And we also have to remember, this is a guy who said cryptocurrency, not just Bitcoin, cryptocurrency is going to be at the forefront of everything we do. It's been the last thing that he's done.
Mm-hmm.
He's talked specifically about all the tariffs, now arguing with Musk. It's like, take that same energy, focus on what you said from the beginning with cryptocurrency. Let's push this into real life scenarios. Let's work with other countries on getting this currency moving. And let's do this thing that we know is going to hype everyone up and also help people. But again, it's sitting over here on the shelf.
What do you think is so XRP, from everything I can research, seems to be compliant, ready to roll, to move money. Why do you think it's still not being adopted? Like, I mean, I know if you read some things, it's being used a little bit here and there, but what really has to happen?
I think it goes back to, and I touched on this a little bit on an Instagram post a while back. Cryptocurrency doesn't have a real utility at the moment other than transferring funds from person to person. You still have to use USD to get into it. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, the dollar is still supporting cryptocurrency because you have to have it to get into cryptocurrency. We're not at a barter place where I can go take a desk, my chair, and laptop and say, all right, I'm going to go to a facility and trade this in and get crypto in return to put into the market. No, I have to sell this more than likely for USD, convert the USD into cryptocurrency. So it's just a tool for people to make money in a different environment. That's all it is. You've got the stock market, you've got the foreign exchange currency market, you have the cryptocurrency market. In stocks, you're buying a stock with what? An exchange of USD. What are you doing with foreign exchange currencies? You're taking USD and converting it to another currency. What are you doing with crypto? You're taking USD and converting it to crypto. So there's not a real life case that makes any of these things work the way they should, essentially. XRP has tons of news around it, but they'll say, oh, Bank of America is utilizing XRP. I went to Bank of America this morning and had to make a deposit. And just for fun, I asked the teller, hey, is there any way that you can send some XRP to my wallet? And she looked at me like I had 6 heads. She went, excuse me, sir? I went, XRP, you guys are using it to transfer money internally. And she went, no, sir, I don't understand what you're talking about. So if the tellers don't understand the transfer of cryptocurrency, it tells me the bank's not utilizing it. When they're sending funds from one account to the next and wire transfers and all this, they're sending USD. Now, there may be something behind the scenes they're testing. There may be a branch somewhere that's utilizing it for internals only, but it's not being used right now. Bitcoin, for example, I'm not going to a car lot and buying a car with it. You have to utilize a third-party group that works as a broker to buy that car. I've done that in the past. I'm not going to the grocery store and utilizing it. Guess what? I still have to use a debit card that I swipe that goes to my wallet, converts the crypto, turns into USD, and then pays Publix or pays Whole Foods. So we are so far out. I mean, so far out from it being a use case that we're still at the beginning of it. And that's why, again, I'm not worried because there's so many more steps that have to grow with it. We're going to look back one day and probably be like, man, can't believe Bitcoin was 100 grand and it's sitting at 1.5 million. You know, I can't believe, you know, XRP was once $2 and now it's trending at $11. Like, there's going to be a case at some point where that happens, but we're still on the cusp of the beginning. And even people, when they say, but Andy, crypto's been around for so many years, it should have already popped off by now. It's like, think about how long it took the internet to really get to where it's at. Better yet, think about cell phones. Like, I grew up where my grandfather had a briefcase and he would have to pop it out on a table if we were eating dinner to call someone, you know, and he'd set it down. He's on a phone call with a cord into a briefcase talking to someone, and it was like $1.50 a minute. It was stupid how much money it cost. Well, now, and that was back in the 80s. Now we're sitting at 2025, which is we're almost 50 years. I mean, we're well past the 50-year mark from when all that happened. And we now have phones where I talk for free. I just pay a flat fee for it. I can send pictures, video, do video calls, anything I want to do. But look how long it took us to get there. So cryptocurrency may take 30, 40 years to get to a true use case. But how many people want to invest in something that takes that long? Well, go look at Microsoft stock. Go look at Apple stock. Go look at Amazon stock. It's years before it takes off. So I think we're still early, but people have been coached so much to think, man, dude, and it's our fault. I mean, when I say our fault, I'll point at myself too. I put $10,000 into a crypto project. Next month, it's worth 100. I put 10 grand in it, and then fast forward a year down the road, and you're sitting at 160 grand. Like we've had that happen sporadically that we think that's the movement that's going to continue to happen when it's like, guys, those are just spikes in the market because we zoomed in really close. When we zoom out and we look at the bigger picture, it's still like this. And I think we have a few more long years ahead of us before we hit that next big bump. Now, I could be wrong. We could get to the end of this year and have the largest explosion we've ever seen in the market, but we're going to have the people at power, the people that have the means to start pushing this thing how it needs to be pushed. Given that a true percentage of the market cap right now, when you think about it, 3 trillion, 800 billion, and 2 trillion of it marks up Bitcoin, we're really not far off from a market value. I promise you, if you take all the coins we had in 2020, all the coins we had today, you break them down at how many they are, how much money is invested in each one, and then you take Bitcoin away from today, it's probably about the same percentage that we have in the market today. It's just Bitcoin is dominating that largest share.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this though real quick, and then we can get into our coin review as we kind of land her down. Let's talk about another scenario that could take place. This big, beautiful bill, which did draw Elon's attention, which does add 5 trillion, at which point there was talk that Bitcoin, because the US dollar would fall, potentially of this, Bitcoin would take dominance. Would that be a way that the bull run explodes at that point? I don't think so. I think it would just be a Bitcoin dominance, if anything. It would just be Bitcoin's the gas, like the rocket fuel at that point. But I don't know shit about shit, so.
I mean, when it comes to Bitcoin dominance over the dollar's fall, again, it's going to be hard because you're having to use USD to get into cryptocurrency. I don't see the math working out right now with it to where we're going to be like, oh man, the dollar's fallen, Bitcoin's dominance, that's going to pump the market. I feel what's going to pump the market is when everyone stops arguing. We're not fighting with other countries. We don't have crazy tariffs in place. We have started to say, okay, the evolution of investing and money is going to be in the cryptocurrency market. Tax-free is huge. That's a huge advantage. I mean, we've heard it with like the state of Florida, and I think Missouri too, have said we've got bills in place to where if you hold Bitcoin, XRP, and a few other coins they've listed on the sides, tax-free.
Yeah.
No capital gains taxes at all. For me, that's huge because you can now move to Florida, open up a business, whether it's coaching, gym, whatever, accept your cryptocurrency, throw it in, pull a little bit off from the side to live on here and there. You're not worried about capital gains tax. Like that is huge for the crypto market. Like that would rush so much money into it that yes, we would see that spike. But one or two states isn't going to help it. I mean, it'd have to come down to where it's like, look, guys, there's no capital gains tax right now in the market. And we know too that the government is afraid of that because, I mean, the IRS, they send out letters all the time to people that have cryptocurrency. You know, hey, did you claim all your cryptocurrency? Are you sure you didn't have a misfiling? Did you do this? Like they want their in so much because they know sooner or later there will be something that's passed that says, yeah, there's no capital gains tax on it. Better yet, maybe there's no taxes at all. And if that ever hit, oh yeah, you would see the fall of the dollar quickly then because now my neighbors are coming to me. Hey, I know you're the crypto guy. How can you help? We just heard there's no taxes on cryptocurrency. What do we need to do? Just take your money, transfer it in USDT. It's a cryptocurrency. It doesn't even move. Put it in XRP, put it in XRP stable coin, whatever the case you want to be in. But yeah, there's no taxes. You would see businesses start accepting it. You would see, I mean, mom and pop businesses, your weed eater, lawn care guys, they're ready to scan that QR code. It would be the biggest shift we've ever seen in the financial market. That would skyrocket everything. But until something like that happens, I think we're just going to be stagnant, just chilling out.
Man, I'm still investing in the narrative. They just make US coins. tax free. I'm
Yep.
hoping.
100%. And again, that's something Trump discussed. He
Yep.
discussed that very vividly and
Yep.
heavily. And then
Yep.
guess what? He gets put into the White House. And again, I mean, your massive, massive pro-Trump supporters, they'll fight me all day, but it's like, let's remember this, guys. He didn't win by a landslide. He barely won. How much of him talking about crypto, how much of him working
Yep.
with Musk, how much of him doing these things is actually the only pivotal point that got him in there? If we're being honest, if he didn't talk about crypto, if he didn't have the funding from Musk, if he didn't do these things, would he have won the way he won? I don't think he would have.
Yep.
I really don't. I think the crypto community, as big as it was, and the people that typically don't even vote, like I'm in a lot of crypto groups, one of which has about 20,000 in it. It's just a big Telegram group. And none of those people ever, I'm talking through any of the presidential elections we have done anything with elections. Nothing. If anything, they don't even care about it because they're in the crypto world. They could care less what goes on anywhere else. When Trump started talking about crypto and how he was going to do this and do that, everyone in there, they're sending newsletters. Guys, be sure to go and vote. Be sure and vote for Trump. You ought to, even if you don't agree with some of his, stances and all, vote for him. He is pro crypto, pro crypto. If 50% of those people went, there's an extra 10,000 votes from that one group. That's just one group. How many of those groups were across the whole US saying, hey, we need to get this guy in office? He's going to help us get out of taxes. He's going to help crypto pop. I mean, again, that's a massive group of people.
Yeah, and so far it's really hasn't done much.
I'll be real with you. I'm the person, as my wife knows, that I strictly voted for Trump the moment he went on Rogan and Elon endorsed him. Before that, I was going to go third party, but I didn't want to dilute it because it made sense. If it diluted it, could potentially go Kamala. And so I don't think this guy's going to keep any of his words. So steak dinner on me, gents, if I'm proven wrong and he does tax free on the American. I'll gladly take you out to Eddie V's or somewhere on me. But I think he's picked so many fights that I told Lacey the other night. I think these next 4 years are going to be very, very hard for all of us. I think they're going to make it very hard for us for these next 4 years, personally speaking. So well, I hope not. I'm going to be the gloom and doom guy. You guys can be the smiley people.
Well, I mean, the thing that I'm going to stick to is I've been in crypto a long time, not like Andy, but a long time. It's always popped. So I'm going to keep doing my dollar cost averaging unless I need that cash. So right now, I just got H bar a lot cheaper. I just got
That's
some
kind of how I
a
look
lot
at it.
cheaper. And I'm still throwing almost $100 a day in Bitcoin. That's growing pretty quick. So
I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah. And that's another good thing to end this with is there's a lot of people that, I missed the train on Bitcoin. It's 100,000. I mean,
I
guys,
felt that way, but I'm just doing it.
if we're, and I've said it since day one, if you're looking at the long term, and we know that it's going to run out one day, we know it's digital gold. There's going to be at least a 5x multiplier at some point,
Yeah.
at some point. So if you're just putting in $100 a week, that's $500, $600 every week when you get 5, 10 years down the road. That adds up significantly. So don't sleep on Bitcoin because you feel like you lost out. Continue to dollar cost average in. And guess what? If it drops down to 60, 70,000, you're like, oh man, my $100 is now only worth 60. Well, now keep putting your $100 in. And when it pops, you're gonna say, oh, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Well, you guys want to cover any of the coins, or do you guys want to kind of just wait and see? Because mine's all blood red, and I'm in all of them, and it looks like it's low.
I'm up in Bitcoin and XRP. That's it. Even my H bar was the wrong way right now.
H bar is down for me.
Yeah, I think we can circle back around because they're all in the same spot. Every single one of them is in the same spot as essentially where we've been last time. So I think we hang out on it. We reconvene in the next few weeks, and what we'll do next time too is when we jump on, I'll do a screen share and I'll actually share the charts in some of my areas of like buys and sells and entries and things like that for the viewers.
If you're new to following us, we're following Suku, H bar, B3, scale, render. What was the other one? XRP, and there's one more, Andy.
I
Probably
don't have my
AI.
list in front of me
Yeah,
because
I'm about the
on a whole
list
different.
too.
Probably AI Oz was on there, Jeff. I think.
I know
I
that
think.
Pal AI was on there.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So if you guys are at home, those are the bigger ones. In the previous episodes, we have a weekly one. We just managed to be able to actually pull off today, so I think we're a little like, woo, hey, we're here.
Andy, are you still like having a big bag though, Suku, or did you get rid of it?
No, no, I still got it. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty much now dollar cost averaged in at like 3.5 cents.
I
Yeah,
got 10 grand in that shit. I'm just waiting.
Yeah,
I
so
got
I mean, for
15.
for me, like I'm heavy, heavy, heavy in it.
Okay.
Like you can't get any heavier in it. But I'm also heavy in it because again, all the guys that I know that are massive bag holders of it,
Hmm.
they're chilling. They're not talking about it. They're not doing anything different. They're
Not
not,
selling it, just holding.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're just like, cool, we're working on tech. We're gonna build this thing. We'll make something happen. So I'm
Yeah.
like, all
I mean,
right,
I
cool.
don't have what you have. And Jeff, you probably might have more than me because I bought it like 3.5 cents, but I got like 400,000 coins. So I'm happy if it even doubles, man. It'll be a nice little rip.
That's my whole thing. I'm in a spot that if it goes to that number of $1.58 or even $1.30 or any of those, that I'm looking at 15 X's across the board on shit. And I'm like,
I
oh,
can't see it getting above $1 again. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I definitely could see it going to 3 or 4x, getting up to 12 cents again, 15 cents. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Andy, do you ever see $1 in Suku's
I
future
guess
ever
what
again?
drove it. The better question is what drove it the first two times because it did
Yeah,
it
so
twice.
so they've got crazy tech. Like Suku's tech is pretty wild in terms of their payment rails and how they send money, especially on X. And that's kind of the big push that they were hoping X would implement their payment system because if you have an account just on X in general, I can go ahead and send you Suku all day. I just type in your username, click send. It goes to your wallet. Even if you don't have a wallet created, it creates it for you.
For you?
And
Yeah.
then all you have to do is log in with your Twitter information, and boom, there's your crypto wallet. So, and I mean, they've got other tech out there as well, but that was their big, like, heavy thing because they knew that Musk was trying to implement a payment system for creators and all this stuff in there. So, if you made a cool post, I could be like, oh, that post was cool. Man, here's 2 Suku, here's 10 Suku, all this stuff. And it's just been set in stale. They're still working, they're still building, they're still active, they're still doing everything they can. And it's obviously too such a low market cap that I mean, if you just increased it by 10x, that 10x is the money. That's 30 cents right away. So that's what I'm holding on for is that 30 to 50 cent push.
Yeah.
I feel where the market's at today if it did that and it got to trending to where people are like, oh crap, this is still super, super cheap. The market cap's still super, super low. There's not a ton of coins that are actually floating around in circulation. I think we would see then that push from 50 cents to like 80, 90 cents at that point. But we have to get back to that point first.
Yeah.
You know how I kind of looked at, and this one I'm gonna wrap up, and maybe you guys can, because maybe other people are thinking about this. But when I'm invested, so where I'm at my dollar cost averaging in Suku, for example, if it just hits 13 cents, I can pull my 10K out and let the rest ride. Do you know what I mean? So the way I've kind of played it from my perspective has been since we interviewed Nick Shepard was I got down to DCA points where if they just hit the points they were before, like in December, I can pull out my investment and let the rest ride. Do you know what I mean? And for some people like me who, you've only got so much to play with and you're trying to do these different things, not saying you guys don't, but I know we're all at different levels, but if you need that 5 grand back later, you guys should be looking at coins that you're getting in really good spots so they're going to hit realistic positions. You can pull that back out. That's been my strategy. Maybe it's stupid, but that really resonated with me with when Nick said it and how I approached it kind of right now in the bear cycle.
I mean, even right now, if you're one of those individuals that's just now watching this podcast and you may say, Suku, oh, it's really down. I mean, if you're getting in right now at the price that it is, and it just gets back to December numbers, you've 3x your money.
Money. Yeah.
And if it gets back just to May of 24, which is just a year ago, you've 9x your money. That's a really, really low level. So my risk for that would be better than say if I'm a new person getting an XRP. Because if I get an XRP right now and it gets back to its high in December, I've only made 50%. So I would rather have 1,000 sitting in Suku, knowing that there's a possibility for a 10 grand run than $1,000 in XRP to get to $1,500.
I agree. I agree. Remember, I did that with Suku. I jumped out of XRP when I got the 3x, moved it all to Suku and bought a big Swift Pass bag of it. So I agree with that sentiment. That's how I've made my plays. Guys, it's been a treat. It was nice seeing you all and
Yeah,
Same,
chatting
man.
about
It's been way
topics.
too long.
sure.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
know. For me, and I'm sure Jason can relate, it's been nice to talk about something other than diet, uh, working
Yep.
out, and peptides. So, with that being Andy, I really appreciate getting to chat with you and as always,
Yep.
learn.
Same.
Audience, be sure to share, go support Andy, support the brands you heard, New Ethics, AVH. We really appreciate you all. And we'll see you guys again in 2 weeks.
Peace,
Y'all
Peace.
be good.
brother.